Hi, everybody. Craze channel. Um, so a couple of days ago, this evil satanic demon died. Yet, finding full context of the atrocities that she committed is literally impossible. In addition to that, I have been severely censored on one of my channels where within they started just removing stuff, and then they removed one with a strike. And so what I am able to do is I am still able to access what I said and what it was about and all that. One of them was merely a 2-minute video mirroring uh, Russia, something going on in Russia, coming from the Russian website, YouTube channel that I've been following for since 2015. And say, it's gone. I can't find it anywhere that I bookmarked either. The other one was mirroring a podcast that came directly about a day or two before J6. It was like J4. And this was from a political science doctorate who basically gave a rundown of what could happen, what he thought. I don't even think he said what he thought should happen. It was basically a history lesson, or not history, just a civics lesson. It was speaking about what under the Constitution could happen. I don't believe he even gave his opinion. I thought it was very interesting. And then when the channel was down, I just said, and I didn't go back to it for maybe 2 weeks, 3 maybe. I don't know. Time just flies, doesn't it? And then this happens, and I'm like, oh, as usual. And then I'd go to try to search for what I know she has said. I'm going to try to go to some alternate sites. But I'm going to play audio because the video was taken down and censored. I mean, this is, let me tell you something. Your rights as a United States citizen to free speech are gone. I should be able to speak about things. Why was it that even during World War II, I suppose you could say during World War I, you were allowed to speak freely about your position? Maybe, back during World War I, maybe people would be pissed at you or something. Ditto for World War II. I've asked my mom many times, I said, were you aware of anything that was going on in World War II? She says, no. Now, you're thinking, my mom was really young and yada, yada. I mean, how old was she? Maybe 9, 8, 9 or something, or older. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, she was older than that. I'm thinking of, Pearl Harbor. But here's the point. Or either older or younger. I'd have to go back and really sit down and ask her again. No, my mom is extremely smart. She's very, and very aware. She tells me what the MSM is feeding the public. She believed 2020 Vaseline, not Vaseline, that thing that was going on, the P word. I said, Ma, you're wrong. I mean, my my mom and dad would not speak to me. And then it was really weird how they were around all these Vaselined people. And then they both get really weird blood cancers at the same time. Now my dad has allowed me to, in his medical record, he just passed away a couple months ago, although he's still with me. He allowed me to do anything and everything concerning his health care at the time, which basically I did because there was no nursing staff. Now, the hospital just was trying to kill him off. I had a very uncomfortable elevator ride. We were the only two on it to top it all off at the hospital the other day. I thought, what in the fuck are the chances of him? He's supposed to be in the oncology set. It's called, the oncology department is in a separate building. They have this huge building. It's very, I will tell you, the people, for the most part, were unbelievably good. And he was good too, but it was like I had to, put him in a dental chair and extract molars in order for him to do what my dad wanted. It was just a nightmare. He was going to have a surgeon, never mind, insert a tube in his lung and just let him die with the tube in his lung. And just take him off all his meds, which, he would have lasted maybe, I don't know, not long. Instead of, at least humane enough to stick a fucking drain in there. Yeah. It was lymphatic cancer, and then it spread to the lymph nodes in his lungs. And no one was going to treat him. No one had been treating him. So I don't have a real warm fuzzy about our healthcare system right now. I mean, as a matter of fact, yeah, I am outraged. Especially having worked in it since the 80s, except for about a 10-year period. Well, pretty much a full decade, yeah. We'll say that. Maybe 11 years. And I worked in at a brokerage firm in the trading department. And then I worked in a small manufacturing firm. And I was assistant to the CEO. All very interesting stuff. And then, I am a sales rep since 96. And prior to that, I was in nursing school. And I worked in a nursing home. So I know what the fuck's going on. Then we get pieces of crap like this. And this is being buried. And look who she's standing next to. This was her husband's presidency. These people, I remember when this shit with, Bill Clinton was a wartime president. Almost the whole time he was there. And then there's Waco, not to mention the Oklahoma City bombing. What really happened there? Janet Reno and Waco. An old demented piece of shit. They put all these old demented women up there. And then she was celebrated for a pin display somewhere in New York City. Really? So it's claimed that she fled during the Holocaust. Now, I've got to tell you, the Holocaust is defined as a period of time also. So I can't get into that, but it basically, if you were in Europe or in there during that time, it's defined in different ways right now. I've noticed that. And she fled. Well, in that case, I have a friend from Bavaria that's a Holocaust survivor too, because she fled, but she was Catholic. So I don't, I mean, it's just, I'm not really sure. Okay, because we'll do something different on that. Well, I don't know that I'm able to. All right. So I've been wanting to do this for a few days, but I was so outraged at the applause and the literally the canonization of an evil witch. I mean, there are actually a few things I'd love to be able to share with you. And she's just an evil bitch. U.S. sanctions, well, it was more than that. They were, the Serbian War, the Czechoslovakia, Serbia, that whole thing. Before you spew the MSM's talking points, do your research. Sanctions against Iraq began in 1990, 4 days after Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, and stayed largely in force until 2003. The sanctions were not limited to military supplies. They were heavy on sanctions on food and basic medical supplies for the Iraqi population, and water. Also, they would not give them the chemicals they needed to purify their water supply. So people were dying of thirst. It does happen. Due to these sanctions, there were high rates of malnutrition and the spread of diseases. On May 2000, a UN Children's UNICEF survey noted that almost half of the children under 5 years of age suffered from diarrhea. Oh, that's horrible. 576,000 children were killed by these sanctions. I wanted to just interject that, yeah, a lot of this started under HW. I know that. W didn't take office until 2001, but we all know what happened there. And then Obama kept going with the whole damn thing and put it on steroids. Yeah. But no one ever talks about that because he's off limits because he's black. Imagine. The 60 Minutes interviewer Leslie Stahl asked Albright, "We have heard that 500,000, but there's more to that." Albright's confused because I will be going on and okay. I'm going to go to a different audio of the entire script because it has been deleted. Albright's confused views of morality. Listen to this one. Madeleine Albright also stated there is a special place in hell for women who don't support Hillary Clinton. Okay, I'm going to read that sentence again. Madeleine Albright also stated there is a special place in hell for women who don't support Hillary Clinton. Well, there's a special place in hell for you. Specifically, she said the following: it's not done, and you have to help. Hillary Clinton will always be there for you. And just remember, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other. Who the fuck would give a campaign speech like that? Oh, I'm going to go to hell, so I better vote for Hillary? Oh my God. Okay. So now just bear with me. So the audio may be difficult, but please, I beg you to try to listen. Please. You know what I might do is turn it up. Tap it. Okay, hopefully this will sound okay, and hurry and listen.
2 minutes and a half. It's Madeleine Albright in an interview with 60 Minutes. And I want you to listen to this interview, folks, and please contemplate what she's saying here. She's contemplating and saying that it was perfectly moral and right, and it was worth it to kill 500,000 Iraqi babies and children to hurt Saddam Hussein, which they admitted the sanctions and the embargoes weren't hurting Saddam Hussein, but they were killing hundreds of thousands of children and elderly and others in the country. Listen to this, and I want you to think about this. You're not going to hear this interview on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, NPR, any of the networks of the world. You're not going to be hearing this as they sing the praises of that great humanitarian, the Jewish troll, warmonger, murderer, Madeleine Albright. Listen to this, folks.
To punish Saddam Hussein for invading Kuwait and to make sure he doesn't do anything like that again or worse, the UN imposed sanctions on Iraq, the harshest, most comprehensive sanctions in modern times. Very little goes into the country, virtually no oil goes out. The United States says there wouldn't be any sanctions at all if Saddam stopped lying about his destructive weapons and complied with UN demands. Meanwhile, it's no secret that the sanctions are causing hardships. It's not the leaders who are suffering, it's the people, and especially the children. This is a ward in a pediatric hospital in Baghdad for severely malnourished children. And everywhere we went, we saw children like these, malnourished, some close to starvation. We saw children who needed medicine they couldn't get. And this little boy died of pneumonia an hour after we took these pictures because there were no antibiotics.
So the baby they're filming, which you can't get this anymore, died an hour after they stopped filming. But I'm going to rot in hell. Or, excuse me, there's a special place in hell for me because I did not vote for Hillary.
Jane Pierce works for the United Nations World Food Program.
Most people don't realize what's going on. They don't see pictures of babies like we've just seen here. The babies that are a third of their recommended weight.
Before 1990, before the war and before these sanctions, was this all unheard of in this country?
Yeah. Yes.
Did not exist at all.
Didn't exist.
What's the problem? How come eight do not shortage of the spare parts?
Roger Normand, a human rights lawyer, was studying the water and sanitation plants that, like hospitals, used to have modern equipment.
Empty.
It's empty. All of them empty.
But Iraq has not been allowed to import chlorine under the sanctions because it could be diverted to making chemical weapons. Before sanctions, Iraq was one of the most industrialized and westernized countries in the Middle East, with a large middle class. But under the sanctions, Iraq has been forbidden to sell oil. So even though the sanctions would allow the country to buy food and medicine, Saddam Hussein claims they don't have enough money to buy them. But Madeleine Albright, the United States representative at the UN, says the sanctions haven't hurt him. She says the U.S. is trying to prevent Saddam Hussein from making and dropping a nuclear bomb or chemical weapons on other countries. And she says he's still lying about his weapons programs.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it? I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
Folks, and Paul, before I, go back to this, and before I, make my final comment, and I want you to get comments about this, I think we should actually play those final words again because they should be repeated 1,000 times. And the people have to understand what these words mean. as many children died, more babies, than Nagasaki and Hiroshima. I'm probably as many children as what happened in the bombings of Tokyo, which would.
I want you guys just to reflect on that. And the same group of people, the same connections as the Clinton, with the same connections in the current administration, the current rogue government. It's the same connections, go all the way back to this. Okay? It's the same cast of characters with just different roles and mixed up a little bit here and there. Jen Psaki didn't come on the scene. Just at the time, that Biden was elected, she had another role, working with Obama and all those people. I mean, I can trace it back that far, but no one ever speaks about Obama because he's black. Aren't you outraged?
Which were even bigger than those. Or, maybe not Dresden. I don't know. Dresden was pretty bad for the kids, too. But this is so amazing. We just have to hear this one last time.
About his weapons programs.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
We think the price is worth it. And this woman right now in our Jewish-dominated global media is being praised and honored. And she's also, again, a person that bombed another country named Serbia, murdered white civilians. And also the country of so-called Ukraine. Right now, we had over the last 4 years massive shelling by this country against civilians that the United Nations says 10 to 14,000 people were killed. I can show you. This is a Wikipedia article. You can dig it up. I can give you the exact figures. And some of the UN figures are lower than what the estimates are by those local governments that were keeping track of the bodies and keeping track of the families and the census and the homes that were destroyed and the people that were gone forever, blown to hell. So I'll just go to you, my good friend, Paul Edward Stevenson. You can find him.
Okay, I think we're going to end it. And okay.